Today I'm going to show you how to make the most amazing oatmeal muffins out there. These are so good for breakfast, for snacks, or pretty much any time, and I can't wait to share my secrets on how to make them perfect. These muffins are not too sweet and they bake with a beautiful dome top. The inside turns out soft and fluffy and moist, and the flavor is really rich. So if you're a fan of oatmeal muffins, stick around and let's make them. I'm going to start by measuring out 1.5 cups of quick oats. And I know a lot of you are probably wondering if you can use the regular rolled oats for this recipe. If large flake oats is all you have, then just put them in a little grinder and pulse them a few times until they become more or less the size of the quick oats. So these are the pulsed regular oats and these are the quick cooking oats. They're pretty much the same now. So there's a handy little tip for whenever you're dealing with a recipe that calls for quick oats and all you have is regular large flake oats. All right, now to this 1.5 cups of quick oats, I'm going to add 1 cup of buttermilk. If all you have is regular milk, that's okay, you can use that. I do it all the time and it still turns out beautifully. I'm gonna mix this together until the oats are completely soaked with the buttermilk. And we're going to let this sit for about 20 minutes. This is going to soften the oats and give us a more tender muffin. So once you see it looks like that, step away, go do something else for about 20 minutes. And when you come back to it, you're going to notice that the mixture will feel a little bit more tight or stiff. But actually, those oats are softer. And right about now, you're going to want to preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 Celsius. So to this, I'm going to add 2 eggs. And I'm just going to stir them in one at a time. And I probably should be cracking those eggs into a cup first, just in case there's any blood spots or something like that. But I'm feeling a little risky today. I'm going to add another egg, mix that in really well. Next, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of vegetable oil or any neutral flavored oil. That's going to make our muffins really moist. But for a little added flavor, I'm also going to add in 2 tablespoons of melted butter, which I've allowed to cool also. Next, I'm going to add 1/3 cup of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of molasses, which I'm just going to measure with my heart, and a teaspoon of vanilla, which I'm also going to measure with my heart. Go ahead and mix all those ingredients right into those soaked oats. Just make sure everything is really incorporated and smooth. All right, now let's set this aside. Now we're going to mix together some dry ingredients, starting with 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. However, usually when I make these, I use 3/4 cup of all-purpose and 3/4 cup of whole wheat flour. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. It's going to make our muffins nice and light. 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And one ingredient that always enhances oatmeal, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm going to go ahead and whisk that until it's also really well combined. All right. Time to take our wet ingredients and stir in the dry. I'm going to do it in about 2 or 3 stages. So we'll start with maybe that much. Oh man, it smells so good right now. We'll throw in probably the rest of it. And just mix it really gently. I know I say that in a lot of my videos with these quick breads. The more you stir anything with all-purpose flour, the more gluten develops. So you don't want to overdo the mixing. Just until you stop seeing the dry flour, you can stop mixing. And by the way, if this video is going a little fast for you, you can get this complete printable recipe on my blog, and I'll link it in the description below. All right, so you can see here that this is incorporated enough. If you wanted to add some raisins or chopped apples or nuts or something like that, it would have been better to add it in maybe just about a minute ago before that flour was fully incorporated. That way you don't overmix the batter. But I'm just going to leave my muffins plain today. Now, one little pro tip I have to offer you. Before you bake these, let the batter sit in the bowl for about 20 minutes. And that's going to kind of auto-lace this batter and allow the dry ingredients to absorb all the wet ingredients, and that will result in a much more tender, lighter muffin. So we're going to do that. Actually, if you were to leave this batter in the fridge overnight and bake them the next day, they are even better. Now, another pro tip I'm going to share with you today is to not just use one pan, but 2 pans to bake your muffins. Now, I've never actually tried this before, but I saw it on TikTok from a creator named Beth First Year. And I'm going to link her account in the description below because I think she deserves a shout out. She recommends placing the muffin cups in every other well, rather than each one. That way the heat circulates around the muffins more, making them a lot taller. She too said to let your muffin batter rest for at least 20 minutes. So I'm gonna fire these into my preheated 400 Fahrenheit oven, and I'm gonna bake them at that temperature for the first 7 minutes. Then I'll turn them down to 350 and let them bake another 8 to 10 minutes. Or until they look something like this. These took exactly 10 more minutes after the first 7, and I'm so happy with the result. Look at that beautiful dome top. If you see this TikTok I made a few years ago of the same muffins, they still look really good, but their tops are a lot flatter. And that's because that hot air didn't get a chance to circulate around them as much. But look at these ones. I've made these muffins so many times and I've never seen their tops get that round. If you wanted these even bigger, you could fit all this batter into 6 or 8 muffin liners instead of 12. But I say the more muffins the merrier. So I'm gonna pour a little coffee, and the best time to enjoy these is warm from the oven. And you can bet everyone's gonna start coming into the kitchen right now, because that sweet smell of cinnamon in the air is heavenly. You can see here that the paper peels away very easily, something that can't be said for all muffins. And just look at that golden brown around the edges and on the bottom. And because we allowed that oatmeal to soak for a while and for the batter to rest, the inside is so moist and fluffy. They're not too sweet for breakfast, and they're so flavorful with all that brown sugar and molasses and cinnamon. You even get a hint of the vanilla in there too. So the next time you're craving oatmeal muffins, I hope this is the recipe that's gonna win your heart.